Hey guys, let's talk Beyond the Gates for today, February 23rd, 2026. So today we have Kat. She's at her brother's house with Martin and Smitty, and Kat is firing on all cylinders with all kinds of zingers, as Kat does. And I just like when the writers give us free and light-hearted Kat because they put her in these situations often where she can't be lighthearted. Actually, I think we have those situations coming up towards, later on this week. And I just like being able to see Light Cat. So I did enjoy Light Cat today. But she is, over there with her brother, and Samantha comes on and she's trying to rush off to do her homework. And, they're saying, maybe you're doing too much and that's why you're falling behind. And she's like, look, I'm worried about great grand. Can we call her? And they call her, and then they find out that great grand is going public about her cancer diagnosis. And so they all head over to Great Grand's house. And Gran is also talking with Danny and Nicole because Danny and Nicole come over and they just want to lay eyes on their mother, after the rumor mill, started up. And when they get there, she's telling them, that they are going to New York to film with Gail King and, put the diagnosis out there. And she asked that they don't come with her, that Vernon is going to go with her. And she wants everyone else to, stay there, listen to what she has to say. And just in case, anything leaks, they can get ahead of it because they already know exactly what she said, what she was going to express, and all of that. And she also tells them that that she's not going to mention anything about the BRCA gene because she doesn't need like the public trying to, figure out, what they be all up in your business. And that would put the spotlight on Danny and Nicole and then their children because you know how the BRCA works. So she's like, she's not discussing anything, and she told them that that portion of it is off limits, but that they're just basically going to discuss everything else. Like, and I like that. Meanwhile, Naomi is a little bit worried about her stupid husband. And and the reason I call Jacob stupid is because he had a scene today where we have Smitty dressing like he's undercover and they're having a conversation and he's telling Smitty all of this information like outside, out in the open. I know they were like in the alley or whatever, but y'all dummies are going to both get yourselves hemmed up. Someone definitely dying. And I hope it's not Smitty, but then it's kind of good enough for Smitty. Like, this is actually Jacob's job, like to go undercover and to infiltrate and get, the evidence that they need to, bring down whatever ring he may be investigating. That's actually Jacob's job. And yes, Smitty is doing his job, but he ain't doing his job. He has inserted himself way too far into the situation. But anyway, Naomi is looking at the burner phone because she wants to reach out to Jacob, but he told her only in the case of an emergency, and she just wants to know that he's okay and she can't reach out to him. And then, when he met with Smitty, Smitty also told him that Anita was coming forward about the cancer diagnosis. So he sends Naomi a text saying that he misses her. And that kind of, eased her, you know, eased her and calmed her today. Then we have Joey and Randy, and Randy is at the Orphe Jeans, and Lynette comes in. She speaks and has a little conversation with Naomi, and then she goes over to Randy, and while she's talking to Randy, telling Randy that it's been handled, that, she planted the stuff on someone else, um, Joey comes in, and then, she leaves and he talks to Joey, and Joey's like, "Look, man, why are you taking so long to do what I told you to do?" And meanwhile, while he's talking to Randy, well, he sends Randy on his way. He gets a call from Bill saying that Bill got a call from Elon stating they found the person and that everything is good. So he calls Randy back, and when Randy gets back, he tells him, and something, and I don't even remember right now, but something that he says makes Joey suspicious. These people, they are irritating. But anyway, so Bill and Haley are at the office when they get the call that the attacker has been caught. And Bill's like, "We got to go down so that you can identify them." And she convinces Bill to stay there. And then Chelsea comes over to see Bill and thank him for what he did for Madison. And then everyone heads over to the Grand's house. So we got Nicole and her kids and Samantha. And then we have Danny and her girls there, all watching the interview with Anita. And Danny, when Chelsea gets there, Chelsea tells her mom about what her dad um, did for Madison. And then after Anita's press conference, well, her interview with Gail, Danny goes and calls Bill to thank him for what he did for Madison. And Danny, I love you. You my girl. You was serving looks today. Let me, because that ponytail was fire. Don't. But Danny, like, why do you keep talking to Bill? Like, that man did you so dirty. You shouldn't even want to talk to him no more. Like, stop talking to him. Stop talking to him. That's what I want to do. I want to shake Danny and be like, stop talking to him. Because there's no reason why you need to be talking to him. Like, no reason at all. And Naomi is standing like back, and she overhears their conversation. And let me just say, the conversation today was pretty, it wasn't suggestive. It's a conversation that she could have very well had in front of Andre. It wasn't a bad conversation, but she doesn't need to be talking to him. He doesn't respect your marriage. He doesn't respect you. Like, stop doing this. Like, the thing is, Andre is really into this, and she says it out loud that she's into her marriage and she's into her husband. But then she goes and does things like that, and I'm like, Danny, what are you doing? Like, are you really in this marriage? Like, I don't know, y'all. But anyway, Haley goes down to or uptown to meet with her cousin, and he tells her that, you got to go down to the police station to identify this, but she's just using this, she doing you a favor, she's using this because she gonna want something more from you. So then they go down to the police station, and she sees Lynette, and she's like, "Oh, now I can move out the hotel." And I said, and she's like, "Oh, you don't want me to move out, do you?" And Haley is stupid because she's so in deep with Lynette, and I don't know if she knows how deep she is in it with Lynette, and how no Lynette might blow this all up for her, and it's all her fault and her own stupidity. I, that's all I got. But yeah, today was a decent episode. I'll see you guys tomorrow to discuss. let's talk beyond the gates for today. Um, what's today's date? Today, February 24th, 2026. So we started this episode with Bill and Haley. They're back at home, and um, Haley is trying to get rid of Bill again. Every time you turn around, she's trying to get rid of him. She's like, okay, the locks changed, the security system has been updated. You're like, I'm good. You can go ahead and go to work. And he's like, nah, I'm working here in the office, here at home. And let me just say, I said today, if Haley is trying to not, I'm not talking about Marquita, I'm talking about Haley. If Haley is trying to get an award for Best Dramatic Actress, she is winning. However, she started to get on my nerves because, girl, she can't, is getting hard to juggle because she's trying to like get away from Bill, but then she's also trying to kind of keep him close and keep him near. So it's a fine line that she's walking. But anyway, we also have Kat and Samantha, and they're at Orphe Jeans, and um they're talking to June, and June is like, who is basically inquiring about who is going to escort Samantha at the cotillion. And Samantha tells them that um Grandma Nicole has worked it out for her, and that Donnell is going to take her. And Kat is all excited because she's like, oh, you got a Banneker man that's going to take you? Because that's like the HBCU that is, in their area. And so she's like, oh, that's excellent. And June is kind of being like overprotective because she's like, should we or do we trust this boy? And she's like, well, mom, mom is known, she's known Vanessa since she was kids. So she's known Donnell and Deanna since they were born, probably. So like, yeah, grandma knows. And because they mentioned Nicole, um, June felt a little better, like, about her going to the cotillion with Donnell. And when Kat leaves to go meet with Tomas, Samantha is still there with June, and Chessie comes in, and Chessie doesn't have a date well, actually, excuse me, she has a date, but it's the guy that caused Samantha all that trouble. It's him. And so she thinks that now Samantha is the only one without an escort. And then she's like, I have somebody. And Donnell comes over, and he is, him and Samantha hit it off immediately. And I don't know, Samantha might like him a little bit. But anyway, so Samantha is squared away, and Chessie was being nasty to Samantha and June, and I laughed at the end because when Donnell came and Samantha went back to her table, Chessie was there to pick up a pie, and June kind of threw the bag with the pie at the girl. It was hilarious because that girl is nasty, just like her grandmama. But anyway, we also have Vanessa talking to Donnell. So Donnell came and he met his mom at the country club, and she explained to him that he wanted she wanted him to take Samantha to the cotillion, and he's done this before. Um and I will say this, Vanessa has a lot to be desired as far as her love life goes. However, she is really a good friend to both Danny and Nicole, because she was talking about how Samantha had a rough year and that she just wants her to have some happy. And that's like, if you can have friends that like care about your family the way you care about your family, you got good friends. Got good friends. And I like that, she cares about Nicole's grandchildren. Like, okay, Vanessa, say what you want to say about Vanessa, but you can't say that she's not a real friend to Danny and Nicole. And so Donnell was talking about, how he misses his dad, and he was just talking about his dad, but he is getting through it. And then Vanessa tried to play with him like she ain't know that he knew that she was with Joey. Like, she basically told him, but she playing like she trying to be discreet. Girl, you and discreet done lost each other a long time ago. But anyway, so she is trying to act like she not seeing him, and he's like, I know you seeing Joey. Is he doing you good? Like, is he treating you well? Like, and she's like, he's been good for the healing process. And then they're talking, and it comes to find out that Deanna is going out with an escort from Heart Attack. So she is up in arms, and she's trying to get him to call it off, but he's like, you know I can't violate the twin trust. So then she goes over there to to Joey, and she's like going off, and he was like, "Oh, she like her mama." And she's like, "Okay, you making jokes, but this is my baby. This isn't funny." And it was so funny to me to see Vanessa act like that, because otherwise she acts like she's totally liberated sexually, and what she do is what she do, and she's good with it. But when as soon as she heard that it was Deanna, she's like, hold up, this is not cool. This is not cool at all. And it was so funny to me, hilarious, like her reaction. And she was like, you can call me a hypocrite, but I guess it is different. You can be in these streets, but you don't want your kids to be in these streets. And I guess, you got to respect it. I mean, she's a mom first. What can you say? I thought she forgot, but she didn't. But anyway, Joey was down at the casino because he yesterday was suspicious when they said that they had, arrested the culprit for Haley's mugging. And then, he spoke with June, and June was like, oh, so and so did that. He couldn't hurt anybody. And so he didn't want the innocent by party. So you can say what you want to say about some villains, but some villains are redeemable, because he didn't want him to go down for something he knows that Haley and Randy and them have cooked up. So he paid the man to get out of town and go away. And Bill is trying to figure out like why he was released from jail. But I appreciate, like, y'all can say what y'all want to say about Sonny, but I like Sonny. Y'all can say, well, but I don't want to keep seeing Vanessa and Joey have sex, but I'm cool with Joey, because he's halfway decent. He has some scruples. But yeah, that was Beyond the Gates today. Nothing. It was a very cutesy. Oh, and then girl Catherine talking about, so she want to stay with Tomas forever at his house. Oh, Lord, Catherine. I love you, but girl, what did you doing? Get your head in the game. But I'll see y'all tomorrow. Hey guys, let's talk Beyond the Gates for today, February 25th, 2026. So this episode starts with Kat and Tomas at Uptown. And let me just start this by saying thank goodness they're not moving in together. Okay. Anyway, this episode starts with them talking, and Kat, mentioned moving in with Tomas yesterday, and so here Tomas is asking her like, why the sudden change of heart when when I asked you, you were like a deer caught in the headlights, and that was absolutely out of the question. Like, what is your um reasoning, for wanting to do this now? And Kat's first reaction is to make a joke, and she's like, because I'm about to not have a place to live. And he's like, you're a Dupree. What do you mean you're going to be homeless? And she's like, Chelsea and Madison, are engaged now. It's kind of like me in the third wheel with them. And then, she would move in with her mom, but her mom is having her hot girl summer, winter, spring, fall. And so she afraid that she gonna walk in the kitchen one day and the man gonna be in the kitchen butt naked making sunny side up eggs. So yeah, like that ain't really an option. And so he was like, so I'm just your last choice. And she's like, no, it's not like that. We love each other, blah, blah, blah. He's like, you basically what you said made a lot of sense. And so I don't think now is the right time. She got upset a little bit because she thought that he was trying to renege on what he said because, oh, now that he made Junior partner, he don't really need her like that. But he was like, that's not the case. I do see a future with you. And the jury's still out on Tomas for me. But he said he sees a future with her and he doesn't want to jeopardize that by moving too quickly to a situation where they're not ready for. So they understand, and so Tomas starts helping her look for potential places, and then she calls Vanessa and asks Vanessa to see some of her listings. So that went well. I'm glad that they're not moving in together, and we can see how Tomas moves in the future to see if my views on Tomas change at any point. Then we have Leslie and Eva, and they're having a meal at Uptown. And Leslie is talking to Eva about the clinic. And Eva's looking and she's like, well, have you did this permit? And trying to make sure that she has everything that she needs in order to open the clinic. And she was like, of course, Leslie don't got nothing, and she wants Eva to come work at the clinic because she has experience running the medical facility because she works for Ted, so she can come work for her. And she's like tricking Eva into thinking that she has someone in mind, and what can I do that can get them to come work for me? And then Eva's like, oh, you can do this, and this. She's like, okay, let me try it. Daughter of my heart, apple of my eye. And she asked Eva, and Eva's like, no, I'm not leaving my dad. I will help you, but I won't leave my dad. And then in comes Derek, and she was like, oh, did you get the permit from the fire department? And she was like, I don't need some piece of paper for them to tell me that the smoke detector is working. If it ain't beeping, it's working. Leslie has to be ignorant in all situations, and that irritates me, but I digress. And Derek is over there shaking his head, and then he comes over and he explains what that permit is actually for. And she was like, oh, you know what you're talking about, you should work for her. And then Leslie was like, he turned me down, and she ends up leaving. And then he talks to Eva, and he says that he will accept the job. However, his stipulation for accepting the job is that he has to have as little interaction with Leslie as possible. So he said that he will be willing to accept the job if he reports directly to Eva. And um, that's the only way he would accept it. And Eva hired him. So Derek is going to work at the clinic. He went to the hospital to tell Ashley and Shanice, and they congratulated him. So he is going to work with Leslie, I guess. Then we have Jacob. He's on the phone with his dad, and his dad's like, asking him questions about the case. And then they get off the phone, and then Jacob is standing in the alleyway. Someone comes up. He act like he want to get jump. He want to get froggy and leap. And then Jacob flashes his gun, and the guy goes on about his business. But then Isaiah pops up, and then when Isaiah pops up, they have a little back and forth, and because all these people gonna do is get Jacob caught up. And I don't know what Isaiah is up to, but when he left and he went to meet with Eva later on, I feel like he's up to something. Yeah, but anyway, he was like, "Don't tell Naomi you saw me, whatever, whatever." So he goes down to the food court, and because he's meeting his girlfriend, and he runs into his sister-in-law, and she's like, "Have you spoken to Jacob?" And he's like, "No, he doesn't tell her." And he was like, "My brother loved you. He's going to do whatever he can to make sure that he comes home to you at the end of the night." And this is all after Naomi has had a conversation with Elon, because Elon was trying to ask Naomi for help to kind of get Jacob out of being undercover. And she was like, pulling him is going to defeat him, and pulling him and him knowing that you don't trust him or his abilities, that's going to put him in more danger. So you need to make sure that he hears confidence when he speaks to you. So something gonna happen. I don't know what's gonna happen, but something about to happen. Then we have Leslie. She goes down to the precinct because she's attempting to see Malone about she wants to see Malone about getting the permit, but I don't know what the police got to do with that. His proper channels are kind of not Leslie's thing. So she goes down to the precinct while Elon is wrapping up his conversation with Naomi. Naomi leaves, and Elon tells Leslie that Malone isn't there. And she was like, "Well, I need help with the permit." And he tells her to go through the proper channels because, they can't help with that. And she was like, "Oh, I guess I came down here for nothing." And then she's leaving. And as she's leaving, she turns around and says, "Chief, I can see where Isaiah get his good looks from. Your wife is a very lucky woman. Why must Leslie flirt with every male on this show? Like, that irritates me." And then she also alluded to Isaiah um and Eva potentially getting engaged sometime soon. And he was like, "Well, I would tell your daughter don't get her heart set because commitment isn't Isaiah's thing." Does Elon know Isaiah? Because it seems like Isaiah was willing and wanting to commit to his ex, but she didn't want to commit to him. I don't know. Does Elon know his children? Like, I don't really know. But Leslie is very presumptive, and it's weird. And then her flirting with every male on the show that she comes in contact is crazy. Cause, like, girl, are you that hot in the pants? Like, chill the F out. Like, I don't know. But that was Beyond the Gates for today. Let me know your thoughts on today's episode. And how did y'all feel about Leslie's behavior? And do y'all think Derek working for Leslie is going to work out well? But I'll see y'all tomorrow. Bye. Let's talk Beyond the Gates for today, February 26th, 2026. So we start this episode. Everyone is at a different location watching the interview with Gail King. So we have Nicole, Laura, and Kat at Nicole's house. We have Vanessa at the country club. We have Danny and Andre at home watching. We have Ashley and Naomi at the food court watching, and we have Smitty watching from his phone walking the halls of the country club. And then we have Leslie and Eva. They're not watching the press conference. However, they Leslie is getting alerts about it from on her phone about it. So, like I said, Vanessa is at the country club and she is watching the press conference. And while she's watching, Anastasia comes up and she's like trying to get the waitress's attention because she needs help. But Vanessa like, girl, bye, and turns up the iPad because we watching Queen Anita. And so then she finally listens in and she hears that Anita has cancer. So after the interview airs, Anita and Vernon, they arrive at the country club, and Anita, Vernon, and Vanessa all take turns whacking Anastasia because she is trying to say, "Oh, Anita, I am so sorry, and if you need to step aside," and blah 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 blah. And the three of them were time enough for Anastasia and sent her snooty behind somewhere looking crazy. And then they went to, have lunch, and Vanessa's sitting there, she's talking to them, and then she starts talking about her children and how, Deanna is struggling with the loss of her father, and then, Anita is being Anita because for the Duprees to be as snooty as everyone try to make them out to be. They are open and welcome to everybody. Yes, Vanessa doesn't have the best reputation out there, but they are still warm and kind and welcoming to her because she hasn't done anything to them. So like while people want to cry that Anita, well, excuse me, while people want to cry that Eva and Leslie are treated less than, look at all they have done. Anyway, so back in Nicole's house, Nicole, Kat, and Laura are there, and they start talking. Somehow they start talking about, it's been a year, since Laura's accident, and Kat knows who did it. Like we all know who did it. So that kind of sets Kat off a little bit, and Nicole is looking at her exasperated again. But I don't understand why everyone is so willing to forgive and forget because she literally tried to kill Laura. Like it's not even people act like what Leslie and what Eva co-conspired to do was something like trivial, like little lightweight stuff. No, she tried to kill that girl. So brushing it under the covers and acting like it didn't happen is crazy to me. Because even Laura was like, "Well, I think Eva is remorseful for her part in it." No, she's not. She's covering it up. She's just as bad as her mother. But I digress. Meanwhile, Ashley is basically saying, your grandmother had the courage to go out and do this. You should, tell your family about the BRCA gene. And Naomi snaps at her. And she's like, what is your problem? Because you never snap at me like that. And so she tells her that Jacob has moved out because he's undercover or whatever. And she was like, okay, I understand that, but don't you think, you think you're trying to protect your family between, all they have going on? Don't you think that you should consider blah, blah, blah? And Naomi says she would consider. I don't think she won't tell him, but she says she will consider telling them. or at least think about it. Meanwhile, Leslie and Eva are at Orphe Jeans, and Leslie decides that because she is the issue, she has issues, and she wants to be the center of everyone's attention. So she has decided that, ooh, the Prees aren't the only one that's going to get pressed today. I'm going to get pressed, but she has no way of getting pressed. She has, like, girl, who are you? Who are you even? But she decides that she wants to get pressed. So she goes down to the country club to ask Vernon and Anita if they can get her in touch with Gayle King. And she's like, I don't have Gayle King's number. My publicist set this up. Well, give me your publicist number. And then Vernon was like, you still got Leslie contact information from Winterfest. We'll pass it along to the publicist. So she gets mad and she leaves. So then she runs into, well, she talks to Smitty and asks Smitty, but she basically stole the free clinic from Samantha. So why would Smitty help you? Like, girl, please get out the way. So Smitty turns her down. And then she goes over to Danny and Andre's house. Girl. So anyway, Danny and Andre are at the house and they're chilling. They watched the interview and now they're chilling, and they're relaxing and having a leisurely afternoon, just chit-chatting. And then here come this woman knocking on their door. And Danny was like, why are you lurking around my house? And she was like, I figured surprise, whatever. And Danny closes the door in her face, and this woman walks into their house. Stay trespassing. Why don't people call the police on her? Because she closed the door in your face, and for you to enter, that is trespassing. But she comes in the house and she was like, can you get your people to come to a press conference for me? And she was like, why would fashion editors want to do anything with your free clinic? Like, it doesn't even correlate. And she was like, she's stupid. Like, she's stupid. And I'm tired of this caricature of a character. Like, I'm sick of it. But anyway, Danny was like, girl, get out. And then she still keeps talking. And then Andre had to handle his wife lightweight and make her leave. So then she goes back to Orphe Jeans, and she's telling Eva that they gonna do a live stream themselves. And Eva's like, girl, you ain't got no followers. And then she was like, it don't matter. If you live stream it, they will come. So then they're supposed to be doing some, like, a few takes and supposed to be live streaming, and she's acting a darn fool. Like, I can't stand this lady because she is a fool, and I don't like foolish people. Like, it's not entertaining to me. Sorry. I don't find her antics to be entertaining. She's uncouth, she's unrefined, and it's not even about being elitist or anything. It's just you don't act like that in public. Like, girl, sit down and act like you got some damn sense. But she don't. So she's walking around acting crazy or whatever. And in comes Kat, and she sees Laura because, Laura just left Nicole's house, which Laura goes and sits down when she first gets to Orphe Jean and pretty much makes peace with Eva. And I just don't get the people making peace with Eva when Eva is just as guilty as her mother, and she is unremorseful. Like I will never understand. Like, it doesn't make sense to me. Come on. But anyway, Kat comes in and she sees Laura, and then she sees them having the press conference, and then Kat goes over there and basically says, this lady is attempted murderer. And then Eva, she stops the recording and was like, I wasn't live, I was recording so we can edit excuse me, so that we can edit it and whatever. I'm so sick of Leslie and Eva. And Kat said that if it's the last thing she do, she's going to prove that they're guilty. Go off, Cat. Y'all can be mad at Cat and say let it go, but go off. See y'all. Hey guys, let's talk Beyond the Gates for today, February 27th, 2026. So we start this episode down at the hospital, and Ted and Nicole run into each other at the nurses station, and Ted is talking to Nicole because he saw Anita's interview with Gail King, and Nicole was weird because she was being snippy and snappy with him. For what reason, I don't know, but she was like, you ain't part of the inner circle no more, blah blah blah. And I'm like, okay, wait. Now Ted is not one of my favorite people neither, but I just felt like that was a little odd and out of place. And then he was like, well, they called me when Anita was having a medical situation, and she was like, out of necessity, not cuz and I don't know what the attitude was about, but whatever. They started talking, and she mentioned that the anniversary of Laura's accident was coming up, and they asked, each other how Kat was doing. And, Nicole conceded that some of, what concerns Kat is valid, because I do need people to validate Kat, because what infuriates me is everybody acts as if Kat was being unreasonable when what Leslie and Eva did was something big. They attempted to murder someone. Eva didn't attempt to murder her, but she's covering it up, and we saw that today in her flashbacks. She's covering up the fact that her mother attempted to murder Laura, so that makes her just as guilty. So, and it was no good reason for Laura to be attempted to be murdered. Like, there's no excuse for that. I don't care what Ted did to you, how you feel about, that's no excuse for what you did to Eva. And even Laura, I mean, excuse me, what they did to Laura. And even Laura is like kind of like brushing it off. And I don't like that. Like, why are y'all so okay with brushing off Leslie's attempted murder, and also like basically coexisting with her? I don't like that. But anyway, so Nicole apologizes for being snippy with Ted, and she goes to the food court to meet up with Vanessa. And they're talking about Nicole's dating life, and she's torn because she doesn't want to commit to anyone, but she doesn't necessarily like the idea of Carlton seeing someone else. But those are the breaks. You either gonna be in the streets or you ain't. But anyway, so they're talking about that, and then they're leaving, and Vanessa mentions that she is going to, show Kat places. And Nicole's like, huh, I didn't know Kat was moving. So then when Nicole gets back to the hospital, she calls and leaves Kat a voicemail, saying that Vanessa told her and to call her back when she gets a chance. Meanwhile, Kat and Leslie and Eva go at it a little bit in Orphe Jeans, because as we saw yesterday, Kat interrupted Leslie and Eva filming. And so then Leslie starts going in on her mother. And Kat is like, oh, I know what you're trying to do. You trying to get me to, go off so that everybody can forget that you are the criminal. So Kat leaves and she goes to meet Chelsea at Uptown. And when she gets there, Kat is a little off today, but I get where Kat is coming from. I mean, yes, maybe, her anger and upsetness was misdirected towards Chelsea, But I get the feeling that Kat doesn't handle change well, and everything is changing so big and so abruptly that it's a bit much for her, and she doesn't know how to properly process that. And for that, I blame Nicole, because for a mother who is a psychiatrist, both of her children are unable to cope as well as you would think they would growing up with a mother who should teach emotional intelligence and growth and all of that. Like, she's a psychiatrist. I would expect that. I know my sister is not a psychiatrist, but she's a therapist and she never shuts up. Like, it's up, like, she turns it off, but it's also ingrained in her and it's a part of her. So she never stops. And she has a book, and I'm going to post it, that she just released. Check it out. It's a book on forgiveness. But anyway, um, so like I blame Nicole. But anyway, her and Chelsea get into it because Chelsea's like, "Are you a little bit jealous?" And Kat is defensive, but it's just a lot. I don't think she's jealous, like as in she doesn't wish Chelsea well and isn't happy for Chelsea. I just think it's been a lot of things, a lot of change been thrown at her, and as someone who myself, I don't necessarily deal with change well. I get it's a lot, but you can't lash out at people. See, I love me some Cat, but I can hold her accountable. See how that works? You can love Eva. I mean, if you do, I'm side eyeing you, but you can love Eva and still hold her accountable. Speaking of Eva, when Leslie leaves, she is talking to Isaiah, and Isaiah is reiterating being honest in a relationship and upfront. If they're trying to build something, and she flashes back to the conversation that her and her mother had there at Orphe Jeans when she asked her mother if she had anything to do with what happened to Laura. And she is keeping the secret that she is aiding and abetting her mother attempting to murder Laura. And I wonder, because I saw something about this summer, some things are going to happen for Eva that aren't so good. And I wonder, is it going to involve what her mother did and what she covered up for her mom? But anyway, then we have Naomi and Smitty. They're at the country club, and Naomi's waiting for a client, and Smitty is meeting with a friend, and she happens to be an oncologist. But Smitty gets a phone call from Martin and steps away to speak with Martin, and her Naomi and the oncologist, they sit and they talk, and the oncologist is asking. She doesn't know that Naomi has the BRCA gene, but I'm pretty sure that she has an idea that this could, be affecting Naomi. And she's inquiring about Naomi personally. And, they're talking, and Naomi's sharing, but she's not sharing it. And the lady was like, I don't know if you have anyone to lean on, but you can lean on me if you need to. And she's like, yeah, I might be doing that. And they exchange information because they are going to try and lean on what's going on there. Meanwhile, Leslie is up to what? I don't know. She goes down to Ted's office, and she first starts, he's thinking that she's coming to speak about Kat, but then she starts making disparaging comments, and for the first time ever that I've ever seen, because he doesn't do it with Eva, for the first time ever, Ted actually, like, oh, that's my daughter, don't talk about her. Like, was that hard? Like, he never does that, because he lets Eva say slick stuff about Kat all the time unchecked. And then she was like, Eva needs a dad. And can you call Isaiah? And blah, 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 yada, yada, yada. Has he called Tomas? But anyway, he calls Eva and asks for Isaiah's information, and then she was like, "Well, Isaiah's right here." And then he asked Isaiah if they can meet tomorrow, and they agreed. But yeah, Beyond the Gates looks rough next week, but I'll see you guys next week for Beyond the Gates. Until then, stay safe and lead with love.